I think through this practice, through this new lens of approaching grief, instead of it being something that we have to get rid of, to get over, where we can take it as an invitation to be present and initiation back into our bodies, into this new phase, this new chapter of life, and what life gets to look like as we move through and sit with and be with our grief, that truly can unlock something incredibly beautiful. Welcome back to the Shadow Priestess Embodied. I'm your host, Kaylin Rakowski, and thank you for joining me today for another deep dive and exploration into your inner world, into your body, the shadow realms, where we will begin to explore some of these esoteric principles and really begin to drop them down into modern day application and embodiment. This is a sacred place where you can begin to truly meet yourself, meet your medicine, and to meet your magic. This is a place of remembrance. Take a deep breath and let's begin. Welcome back, you guys. So today I'm truly going to be very raw and honest with all of you. And there's a part of me that's very resistant to recording this episode. And some of you who know me, who have worked with me, who are close with me, or have just been a part of my world, know that at the end of March, a week before my 31st birthday, I lost my dad. And he died in a very unexpected way. We had no idea that death was knocking on his door. And I just wanted to kind of share with you my experience with navigating deep portals of grief and what that's really looked like for me, in hopes that, maybe there's some of you who have lost someone who you loved deeply, or are in your own season of grief, whether that be, a parent like myself, a relationship, a friendship, maybe a role. I think that what I'm really getting into today is just going to be the frequency of grief in itself, and hoping that you can take this and apply this to any area in your life, any season in your life that you may be experiencing the same. So, I guess where I want to begin with this episode is just maybe sharing my annoyance, or something that's been very triggering to me, because as someone going through my own grieving process, and I'll be honest, it's not pretty. Some days feel numb, some days feel joyous, some days it feels like there's just an ache in my heart and a heaviness to me that I just can't shake off. And in my own process through grief, I've, looked up different resources, read up on, different things. And so much of the things that I'm reading really drew my awareness to that grief is presented to us as it's something that we have to get over. And I kind of say that with a weird stinge in my voice, because so much of the information I feel like that I found out there is how to get over your grief. And to me, I don't think that grief is something that we try to get over or get rid of. And I think that coming at it or approaching it with this belief is probably the exact thing that perpetuates it and allows it to fully consume your life, and maybe even in subconscious ways that you're not even aware of. So, what really pulled me to share this with you was noticing what was out there, what was given to us as tools, or what was the paradigm that we were approaching our grief from, and presenting you guys with a different lens, or at least my own perspective on how I've been moving through this. And it's honestly divine timing, because I've wanted to get on and share this with you guys. And every time I sat down to record the episode, I would cry, or I just couldn't get my thoughts together to do it. And coincidentally enough, I don't really believe in coincidences. So, divine enough that tomorrow is actually my dad's 65th birthday. And this has actually been a really deep week for me. And I guess one of those weeks that I've felt a lot lower, and still feeling like it was perfect time to come on and just talk about this. And maybe not even for anyone who's listening, but maybe even just truly for myself. And where I want to really start with is, like I said, that grief has been presented to me as something that I need to get over or get rid of. And I really believe that grief is something that's asking us to drop in and to be with it and to sit with it and to just be fully immersed in it, so that we actually can experience it. Because it's almost like grief, like the amount or degree as to how much you're grieving, is a direct correlation as to how deeply you loved. And I think that when we don't allow ourselves the proper time to feel, to transmute, to just expel and emote this energy in the body, that it then begins to become so deeply embedded in our body, right? In our nervous system, that it can really begin to, for lack of a better words, like literally like just become us and take over our frequency. And please don't mistake what I'm saying with, oh, you need to be high vibe or up all the time. Because I also don't believe in that. I think that whether you're up all the time or whether you're low, if you're constantly at a state of either or, that it's sickness. Like, we are meant to fully feel the range of our emotions. However, there's a difference in allowing yourself to experience, to feel, and to move through an emotion versus fully becoming it and taking it on as your identity. I hope that you can feel the difference or see the difference there, right? It's kind of like the difference of, I am experiencing some depression versus I am depressed. Okay. Can you kind of see the nuance or difference there, though? So to me, as I'm sharing this with you, I think that what I want you to understand is that your grief is inviting and asking you to just be fully present in your body. And you'll notice that, or at least I've noticed in my own experience, that I've almost created this false sense of busyness, where I try to distract myself, whether that be with my children, or, saying, oh, well, I need to, or I have to do this other thing today for my business, or da, 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 that it's almost like this false sense of productivity keeps me from fully going into the charge, fully going into the motion. And, you can repress it as much as you want. But when I have those moments of stillness, when I have those minutes of quiet, when I have those minutes where I can pause and just fully be immersed in myself and drop into my body and see what's here, it's almost instantly tears that come to my eyes. It's almost instantly him that comes to my mind. And I probably honestly spent the first April, May, probably the first 2 or 3 months in a state of avoidance, because it felt too painful to even allow myself to really drop into and feel. And during this last month, I've just really allowed those moments where I just get so present in my body and just say, like, okay, well, what's here? And as activating, as big as, these feelings of grief, of sadness, of anger, of regret, resentment. I mean, the minute that I could actually stop running from myself and fall back into myself, I was able to sit with and meet so many of these emotions that just wanted to be felt. And it's not that you have to then try to fix them or, make them go away or, try to like get back into a high vibe. It's not anything about that. It's just allowing yourself to fully be a witness of whatever is truly alive for you. Like, that is my aliveness in this moment. In this moment, those are the feelings, those are the messengers, those are the things that my body is asking me to feel, to go deeper into. And the moments that I do create this space and allow myself to go deeper into the activation, into the charge, without even trying to do anything, it naturally begins to dissipate because our emotions are literally just wanting to be expressed. They just want to be felt. They want some way to emote from the body. And I think, honestly, I'm so incredibly thankful for the somatic work that I have been trained in, because without that, I feel like I would be missing such a huge piece and constantly be suppressing or trying to run away from myself, where I've really been able to meet myself in the greatest depths, in the greatest sadness. And truly through, oh, I'm going to get emotional, through allowing myself to go into the deepest parts of myself, like the things that are hurting so bad, I found the greatest love. And probably such a love that I didn't even realize the magnitude of it. I'm sorry, you guys. I didn't even realize how much love was in the room for my dad. And I don't want this to sound bad, like I didn't feel like I loved him before. That's not what I'm trying to say. My dad had one of the most beautiful souls that I think I've ever known. And he was also so lost at the same time. And I don't know, it's just ever since he's passed, I've really saw him in such a different light that I wish that I could have been more present or attuned to why he was here. So for me, it's been through the deepest portals of pain, of grief, of sadness that I have actually met the deepest forms of love, of compassion, of acceptance. And I think that's the gift, when instead of trying to suppress it, numb it, run away from it, deny it, when we can truly drop in and allow ourselves to just be fully present with what's alive for us, what's here for us, what our body's communicating, what our hearts are communicating, that we actually create the space and the capacity not only to transmute it, but to actually gain deeper awarenesses of what's really here and what we really need. And I want you to understand that this is not a linear process. Your grief, your healing is not something where it's like each day, you just get better or it goes away a little bit. I don't really believe that that's the case, because from my own experience, I've had days where I felt the greatest joy or happiness or aliveness. And then, out of nowhere, it could be a memory, it could be a song, it could be, seeing the lions, because that was my dad's like favorite thing, that activates that feeling of grief. So it's just really important to have grace with yourself and to just give yourself so much compassion and so much love, because like I said, it's not something that you try to get over or get rid of. I honestly don't believe that we ever stop grieving. I think that when you truly loved somebody, I think that that grief or that loss stays with you forever. But the amount of activation or the level of acceptance that you've come to begins to shapeshift or change as time goes on, as healing goes on. It's like the more that you allow yourself to feel what you're feeling early on, it helps you to be able to have a deeper acceptance or relationship with it. Like I said, when I was in avoidance with my grief, it was because it felt too painful to touch. It was because it was activating. It was heavy. It was just, I didn't want to have to go there. But when I actually took those moments and have allowed myself to go into it and to be with it, it changed. And it wasn't that my relationship with his passing was deep, just anger. Now it's invited me into the deepest places of love. And I think that the grief that you're experiencing gets to almost change into a different form as you allow yourself just to be fully present and anchored with it. And it's like the less that you can resist it is the quicker, or you're have deeper awareness or access to actually begin cultivating a new experience or story or relationship with the loss, if that makes sense. I will say, I think there's something that happens, and I'm curious if any of you who have lost a parent have noticed this, is that, with losing my dad, it's also brought up so much wounding, or really highlighted, I guess, the incongruence with the divine masculine in my life, with feeling safe, with feeling secure, even highlighting like issues with me and my partner that have come to the surface, like since my dad died. And I think that with him being my first experience with the masculine, that with his passing, it's also like really illuminated so much of this for me and really showed me where I was still carrying wounds, or where there were parts of me that doesn't feel safe or doesn't feel secure, or, that little girl who I just want love. And so much of that has come to the surface with this passing. Through his passing, it's almost been this invitation or initiation with my own relationship with the masculine, with the divine masculine, and really looking at that energy in myself and just illuminating so many areas where it has not been in its highest expression or in its toxic expression, and where I can begin to bring more harmony and more of the sacred masculine that wants to be expressed even in my own life. And it's like through his passing that I've also just experienced the greatest amount of clarity and healing and just a complete illumination as to where I needed to trust the masculine, to feel like I can receive, be supported, to feel secure. And it's so needed if you are a feminine essence being because, you know, the masculine supports the feminine. He is the structure, he is the scaffolding so that the feminine can flow. And I think that when these are out of balance, it's very hard to really, take action or to gain momentum on the things that your soul is here to do. Because truly, it's like the masculine energy acts as the protector, right? He acts as, for lack of a better word, what's coming forward is like he acts as like the worker or like the initiator. Like he is like that fire that bursts that into the world, where the feminine is the visionary, right? She is the creatrix. But it's like having a beautiful balance of those that actually gives you the energy or gives you the momentum that you need to step into your power as a creator, to tap into that heavy creatrix energy. And it's interesting because, like I said, so much of this would not have been illuminated for me if I kept trying to suppress my grief or to avoid it. So what I'm trying to get at is that your grief is actually an invitation or an initiation into deeper amounts of love, into deeper amounts of healing, into deeper amounts of expression. And as painful as it can be to fully just be immersed in it, that on the other side of the grief is power, is love. And there's something that's wanting your attention, that's desiring to be witnessed, that's desiring to be held, that's desiring to be expressed, that actually holds these nuggets or hold these keys in it for you to unlock this whole different level of experience or new levels of depth that maybe you never would have unlocked if you didn't allow yourself to just fully go into the grief. And I think through this practice, through this new lens of approaching grief, instead of it being something that we have to get rid of, to get over, where we can take it as an invitation to be present and initiation back into our bodies, into this new phase, this new chapter of life, and what life gets to look like as we move through and sit with and be with our grief, that truly can unlock something incredibly beautiful. Not saying that it isn't painful, not saying that it isn't messy, but holding the awareness that even in the darkest of times, in the absolute lowest of lows, there is still light and life still gets to be beautiful. I want to end this episode by just saying that I love you, Dad. I miss you every day. And thank you for everything, for all of the lessons, all of the love, all of the gifts that you being my dad brought me. I am because you were, and I love you. Thank you so much for joining me today for another juicy episode of Shadow Priestess Embodied. I absolutely love diving in and having these conversations with you all. If this is an episode that you found intriguing, that you found some nuggets in, please share it with a friend and be sure to subscribe and follow me so you can be present for all of the upcoming transmissions, activations, and downloads that I'll be bringing to our community. Have an absolutely magical day, and I'll see you soon.